All right, everybody knows now that Bear Alexander has gone on to USC. So what's that mean for Georgia's defensive line from here on out? Dean Legge and Matt DeBerry. Matt, this season it's not going to be a giant loss because you got, these guys started last year. Zion Logue, Tramel Walthour, and Nazir Stackhouse. Those guys were multi-game starters. Tramel started 13 games. Jalen Carter was out a lot of the season. But as you go on in the future, you've got Ingram Dawkins, Jefferson, Williams. Where is Georgia on the defensive line as it stands moving forward? Because Bear Alexander is a good player, and he's not at Georgia anymore.
Yeah, Warren Brinson, your guy too, is still
I'm
on the
sorry, I
list. I
didn't
don't know if you
mention
said
I
him or
didn't I
not.
didn't mention Warren
There's
Brinson.
a lot of them. There's a lot of
There
them.
are
The guy that I think could really open some eyes is Kristen Miller from that 22 class, the same as Bear Alexander. Sean Washington is not on the team either, who they, I believe,
right.
signed in that class. So he's a guy that I saw a lot of at high school, at a Cedar Grove. Really quick for his size,
Yeah, you
mid
were
to low 4-star. People kind of forget about him, but I thought he flashed a little bit at G Day. And from that recruiting class, I think he's kind of maybe I'm forgetting another defensive lineman that they signed, but I've always liked him maybe more than others, and I think that he's still got a lot of guys ahead of him. He's going to have to fight off some of the younger incoming freshmen, but he's a guy that I think could turn a head or two and maybe open some eyes this year.
What about Harris? We've talked a lot about. I feel like we talked a lot about Harris. What do folks need to know about him in this upcoming class?
Yeah, it just pass rusher, 6'4". He's got some length.
Not the
I
same
saw
spot as not the same spot as Bear
Right.
Alexander,
More
but
of that
still,
outside linebacker edge
yeah.
type, whatever you want. I think he'll be standing up. But I saw him do like a standing back flip at Atlanta Under Armour camp a couple years ago. He's got that athleticism, right? So I don't know if he's as good a pass rusher solely as Sam and Pimber or Damon Wilson, but he's got size, 6'3.5", a little shorter than 6'4", about 240, 245. The standing backflips, I don't know if that means anything or not, Dean, but it impresses me when I see a guy do that. So I'm thinking, okay, this guy's obviously a pretty decent athlete, and he's
Right.
got size. He's quick off the ball. Was at Thomas County Central, tried to play at Valdosta, was ruled ineligible, finished his career at IMG Academy. So, but Georgia stuck with him. I mean, the whole way. They liked him early in the process, got him on board. So he's a guy that I think the staff is very high on. They're high on all three of those pass rushing edge types that they took in that last class. So we saw a glimpse of that at G Day. But overall, again, like I've said, it's full of experienced veteran guys, and there's a lot of hungry, talented guys that are going to get better and better who are, new, trying to make a name for themselves. Overall, there's a lot to like what they have on the defensive line. Bear Alexander obviously showed big time talent, especially in the TCU game, but they don't have him anymore. It's far from the end of the world.
No, it's far from the end of the world, but the thing that I've talked about for such a long time is that it just sort of all adds up when you're dealing with Georgia, and they have so many players. And in this case, like for instance, we were talking about Harris a minute ago, but he's more of an outside guy. He's not an interior. Jamal Jarrett, though, he was hard not to notice. That's number 44, right, for Georgia's
That's
G.
Jordan Hall.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
See my
Love
point.
Jordan
This
Hall.
this
Yeah.
is my point though, is that you've got a slew of guys who are available for Georgia at these spots, and I wonder, because the 23 group is in, but the 24 group now Bear was obviously a 22 guy. But when you start talking about the 24, who are they targeting? Because there's not I don't know that they're really nailed anybody down yet on the D line.
Uh, Justin Scott is a kind of a 5-star from Chicago that they're recruiting. I don't think they lead for him right now. Edric Houston is a 5-star out of Buford High School, but he's like 255. So
Right.
he'll play with his hand on the ground. If he adds 15, 20 more pounds, like Micah Williams is doing, he'll probably move inside a little bit. Justin Green is a 4-star from Mountain View High School, about 30 minutes away from Athens, that they offered later than everyone else. I thought he was a big target for teams like Auburn and South Carolina, but it does seem like Georgia's saying, okay, we like you now more than we did in the past. He was at G Day. It's just not an excellent group across the country. And when you take in guys like Jamal Jarrett, who they expect a lot out of from that position, and a guy like Jordan Hall, who I think could be a first round type of guy, three and out
Yeah.
first rounder,
Yeah.
it's hard to get a lot of these 5-star guys to jump on board because, again, a lot of these guys want to play early. And you can get a rep here and there at a place like Georgia, but you're not going to start. I mean, as a freshman on the defensive line at Georgia, Michael
No.
Williams is a special talent, but he didn't
Did
start, but he played a lot.
Did Jalen start? I don't think Jalen started in 21.
Maybe not start, but he
He
sure
played.
played a lot.
He played a
Yeah.
lot. Yeah, no, no. My global point is that Bears criticism is that, hey, I wasn't getting enough reps outside of the third down situation, and he may well be. I mean, we don't know what's right for Bear Alexander. That's up to him. But when you look at what they've got here, my board is so dated. I think this weekend I'm just gonna, because I know over at Dog Post we keep up with this pretty closely. This year they've got a lot of defensive linemen, man. I mean, Trammell, Zion Logue, Warren Brinson, Stackhouse. You got Ingram Dawkins. They've
Former
got a
five
lot.
star. I mean,
What's that?
he's a former 5-star out of
I'm
South
just
Carolina, number one player in the state. I mean, these are really talented guys that
right.
are still trying to get on the field.
Well, but I don't, earlier during our recording sessions, we talked about Bart Scott saying, Georgia's a quasi NFL team. They would not beat an NFL team. They would not beat the best. They would not beat the best NFL team, the worst NFL team, excuse me. But they would. They are the best team in college football because they have the most NFL talent. And when you look at the board, and you like a season ago, all the guys I mentioned plus Jalen Carter, that was the core of their D line. Well, that core minus Jalen is coming back. That's the crazy part. I think to me, the part that I sort of watch it on is, you lose Alexander, who was looked like he could be a player for Georgia. He's gone. So how do you replace that? How do you, keep moving with that? But then you forget about Ingram Dawkins. Now, they don't necessarily play the same position, right? Ingram Dawkins is a longer, leaner guy. Bear was more on the inside. There's just not a lot of guys that are inside guys necessarily. I mean, there's Zion Logue plays. What is Zion plays all over the place though on the line? Sometimes he's on the outside too.
Yeah, he's going to have to. I think he's played, between the guard and center at times. Sometimes it depends on if
What they're
it's
doing.
third and short, if
Yeah.
it's first 10. I mean, you want as much beef in there as possible on short yardage situations. And Kirby and Trey Scott, they have a plan for each one of these guys, very
Right.
specific. I mean, they're not just throwing these guys out there. They want them to play different type of positions on the defensive line. And sometimes when you have a talented freshman like Bear Alexander, year one, they're going to say, hey, we do just need you to play on third
Third
down right now.
down.
We got a
Yeah.
lot of guys ahead of you. Here's our plan for you year one. And I would think they would have talked that over with him during the recruiting process so he knows the plan. But I don't know. I was not in the room when they recruited Bear Alexander, but he's a guy that wanted to play early, and he made a sack in the national championship game.
Yeah.
People know who he was. It's not like he didn't get on the field at all, but
Well, maybe it's a better move for him, though. I mean, these guys.
yeah,
I'm not ready to bury Bear Alexander. I mean, I know that there's plenty of discussion that he wasn't a great teammate, and that this, that, and the other. But in terms of they're going to play the best player,
yeah,
and if he's not the best player, it makes sense to me for him to move on because this year he's not beating those guys out that I just mentioned. So 2 of his years would be gone. But
the guys that have been around for 5 years, no, he's not. He's not
no,
beating
he's
those.
not because he's not better than they are. Now, I really is Warren Brinson special? I don't know. Is Tremel Walthour special? I don't know. Is Nazir special? I don't know. But they're playing a lot for a team that is the number one run stopping defense in the country. That's won back to back national championships, and that has sent, as of Thursday night, they will have sent 4 players in the first round of the NFL draft from that position group. Georgia knows what it's doing on the defensive line. There was a time when Clemson was really, really good at this spot and it made them special. I don't know if this is better than Clemson was at the time, but this is pretty good. I mean, 4 guys in 2 years? That's
Yeah,
just special, man. It's amazing.
Clemson. Clemson might have two this year. Miles Murphy, I think, is going to be a first round pick. Brian Brzee,
Maybe.
maybe probably a second rounder though.
Right,
But
right. But that's what powered them. That's what made them go was the kid who's at the Giants or the Dolphins. I can't remember his name.
Dexter Lawrence,
Yes, Lawrence, and they had another guy too. But I
Shaq
mean,
Lawson,
they've
few
had
guys.
guys, no doubt. Well,
Yeah,
they're not as much there anymore. That defense is still going to be pretty good for Clemson this coming year, by the way. But this is a very solid group. Nazir Stackhouse is good, man. But no one talks about him. Why, why,
yeah.
why would you? You know what I mean? All right, thanks for watching.